Welcome back, everyone, to Ant on Music. I'm your host, Ant, and this week we're going to be taking a look at some new releases. Also, we're going to take a look at a couple of anniversary editions, some cool colored stuff, and we're going to deal with more newer artists. A lot of people think that, music, rock and roll basically stopped being rock and roll and there's nothing good coming out and all these up and coming artists, they're just garbage. You know something? I'll be honest with you. I'm 55 years old, all right? I'm not exactly a kid anymore. And I still love when I find something new, something that, other people haven't heard of, it, like in my peer group. And I like sharing it. And that's pretty much why I started made the decision to do videos like this. It's not only to go over the big box sets and all that stuff of classic rock and classic metal and all this stuff. Those are great. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't live in the past all the time. I wanted to look into more of the newer artists that are coming up. Maybe they have an album or two out. And it's stuff that I dig, and I want to share it with everyone. Thank you for checking in. Always great to have people checking out these videos. I think it's pretty cool to have this platform. I would have loved to have had this as a kid, and I hope you enjoy watching the videos. If you do, click like. Subscribe, that'd be awesome. Leave a comment. I'm more than happy to get back to anybody regarding any of the stuff that I present. So we got a host of things to go through today, so why don't we just dig in and see where it takes us. First thing we're looking at is an anniversary edition. This is Belle and Sebastian, The Boy with the Arab Strap. This is a re-release. It's an anniversary edition. Got the lyrics on this side, photograph on this side, and we have the liner notes on the back. Explains a little bit how Belle and Sebastian came up with the name. It was a book and then turned into a TV show over in France, a kid's show, and then the band picked this as their name. This is their second release. They had a few EPs, and then they had In Case You're Feeling Sinister, which came out before this. This wasn't as impactful as If You're Feeling Sinister, but it's still a pretty solid album. Got some standout tracks. It could have been a brilliant career. Is It Wicked Not to Care? Seymour Stein, Dirty Dream Number 2, and it's got some cool stuff. Stuart Murdoch and Company, they've been around. They're still releasing stuff. Still very, relevant. They kind of built up a passion following along the lines of the Smiths, and that also is represented in their aesthetic. It's very similar, photographic style almost to what the Smiths used to do with their album covers. And this one comes with a poster card for the album as well, front and back there. And then it also comes in this very beautiful colored vinyl, very pale blue, very, very nice, 180 gram vinyl, heavy duty. Sounds great. Really is a fantastic album. This has come out recently. If you've never heard of them, check them out. Like if you dig stuff like the Smiths, it's good stuff. Not as, I guess kitschy as the Smiths were, but it's indie pop, it's chamber pop, it's pretty cool. Now we're gonna totally change gears. So, good buddy of mine, Kevin Lynch, told me about this group called, this goes back a couple of years, the Nuclear Power Trio. He goes, you got to check them out. So I went online and I was kind of at first taken back. It's like, what is this weirdness that I see in video? It's like the Nuclear Power Trio. This is their latest album, affectionately entitled Wet Ass Plutonium. I wonder where they got the idea for that. And it's three guys from real heavy death metal bands, and they basically wear masks. One dresses up as Vladimir Putin on bass. Another one on guitar dresses up with a mask, looking like our very own IQ 45 Donald Trump. And finally, Kim Jong-un is there as well. This is on the Metal Blade label, and it's pretty interesting stuff. It's instrumental. If you dig Dream Theater, you would definitely dig this, guys. They're phenomenal musicians, and you know, it's pretty cool. The album comes with a download code, so you have that as well. And this is on a real funky vinyl. Okay, listed as Coke bottle green with pink. Very neat stuff. The titles on the songs are pretty much inconsequential. It doesn't really give you an idea of what what to expect, but it is, it's power metal. It's like fusion type stuff. They have, the title track, Wet Ass Plutonium, Apocalypse Man, Netflix and Chill, haha. Air Force Fun, Snark Side of the UN, you get the idea. But don't let the cheesy artwork and the silly song titles, fool you. These guys can shred. I heard about this, so, the only place to really find it for me was on Metal Blade Records, so I ordered directly through them. And while I was there on Metal Blade Records, their website, I like to buy independently. I like to shop from my local record stores. But, every now and again, you got to go to the source. When I went there, one of the things that was on their page, which kind of took me back, being a New York guy, it's like, I grew up with all the New York bands like Kiss and the Ramones and, what have you, were these guys. Riot. They have been around forever. They're now known as Riot 5, Roman numeral V. Leader of the band, Reali, passed away. But I always loved this album, Riot, Privilege of Power. I like a lot of their stuff, but this one I really dug because they had a really cool horn section on. They had Tower Power play on this album, and they're on a few tracks. And I mean, it's good stuff. For me, the standout track was always Killer. I love that song, but there's other good stuff like On Your Knees and Metal Soldiers, Storming the Gates of Hell, Marianne. This is a fantastic album, and it's been reissued on double vinyl, and, got the Metal Blade packaging on there. One album is this funky green swirl, has the album artwork on the labels. It's pretty neat. And the other one is on like a lemon lime. So you've got like a Sprite mix of an album. So you got the labels there as well. Looks pretty cool. Sunshine yellow and a little bit of key lime pie going on there as far as the vinyl colors go. And this is the gatefold. As I said, Mark Reali passed away. It's the back cover. It's got got the album credits, listed pretty much on the back. Nothing spectacular. You got this little sheet here, which has the liner notes and the lyrics, and who played on the band, and actually who plays live, because they had some personnel that they used in the studio, but live they had Pete Perez here on bass and Mike Flint. So Flint and Perez were the live unit for the band at this point in time. And, if you dig old school hard rock, heavy metal, and you haven't heard of Riot, give this a shot. I would start with Killer. Just a great groove, great horn section. Definitely worth checking out. And I was happy that when I went to Metal Blade Records and I saw both of those together, I was like, ooh, I got to get that. That's pretty neat. And then the next two records that I came across was from listening to radio, but not in the way you think. I was in my truck and listening to the Howard Stern show. Okay, and for those of you that listen to SXM, Howard on his 101 channel does a show on Friday nights where he has artists come in and they pick music that that means something to them. And a couple of weeks back, he had mentioned that he was going to have the Struts on, and I dig the Struts. I was unaware that they had a new album coming out, and I have their prior albums, and I was like, oh, the Struts have a new album out. Without even listening to the show, I decided to go check out and see if I could come across the new Struts album, and I did. And this is it. It's called The Struts Pretty Vicious. As you might think, it's typical of the Struts. If you've heard them, their vocalist and leader Luke Spiller. He's a character. This dude. He's got a very good vocal range. In my mind, a lot of times when I hear him sing, I compare him in style and ability to Freddie Mercury. I know that's a really tall order, but he's got tons and tons of swagger and tons of attitude, and these guys are just flat out fun. So there they are in the gatefold sleeve with all the thank yous and liner notes there. Back cover right there, and this is on Big Machine Records, indie label, and the record itself. Let's pull this out. Got the lyrics and credits, and this is a really beautiful color purple album. Not that it matters. The music is fantastic. The first single is the title track, Pretty Vicious. Too Good at Raising Hell's a great track. Hands on Me is another good one. Rockstar, Remember the Name. This is a damn good album. Another one, and they're an up and coming band. I think they've had 3. This might be their 3rd long player that they've put out, and they're a lot of fun. They're great. If you've never heard them, give them a listen, man. They're fantastic. They are definitely worth checking out. And when I was looking for this, it made me think of another band. And I was talking to another buddy of mine. This is a while back. This band called Dirty Honey. They're out of LA, and they released an album right around the same time that the Struts released theirs. And this is their latest. Okay. And it really is a great album. So this is called Can't Find the Breaks, Dirty Honey. Got their first album back there behind me. And both albums are great. If you really like straight up meat and potatoes rock and roll, these guys are for you. It's like there's no, not that there's anything wrong with it. There's no influence of country. There's no influence of rap. There's no influence of anything else except straight ahead rock and roll. These guys, along with the Struts, in my opinion, would have fit in fine in the mid to late 80s. These guys definitely have a Zeppelin type feel. The first track on here, Don't Put Out the Fire. When I was listening to this with my buddy Goose, we both kind of picked up on the fact that get a little bit of ELO in the opening riff, and they're just a fantastic band. This is on an independent label called Dirt Records, and a lot of good tracks on here. Like I said, you have the opening track, Don't Put Out the Fire. Won't Take Me Alive, good song. Dirty Mind is fun. Rome, Get a Little High. This is an album you can put on start to end. It's solid. Hooks are solid. Big hooks. Great guitar riffs. Cool vocals. Can't say enough good thing about these guys. And no sophomore slump on their new album. So once again, you get a card with the lyrics on it. It's always nice to have. You get the credits, right there. Basically, it's Mark LaBelle and John Noto, vocals and guitars respectively, that are really the main push of the band. And their rhythm section of Justin and Jaden are they're fantastic as well. They really put down a solid backbone for those two guys to soar over. And this with cool artwork on the label of their insignia on snow white vinyl. Look at that. That's beautiful. It's heavyweight vinyl as well. Really, really good stuff. I mean, if you like stuff that's along the lines of like Badlands, you know, that was another one that I thought of when I was listening to them. In a way, a little bit vocally, um, like Badlands, and just beginning to end, stop to finish, side one, side two, just good stuff all the way around. You know, when I first got this, you know, it didn't leave my turntable for about a good 3 or 4 days till something else came in that I wanted to check out. But you know, these guys, in my opinion, should be a really big band as far as rock and roll goes, and they definitely fit in with you know, mid to late 80s vibe that they've got going on. You know, very Zeppelin-esque, Aerosmith. I could see them touring with the Black Crowes. I think that would be a great matchup. Either that or have these two guys tour together. These two bands would be fantastic to tour together. That'd be a lot of fun because you've got a lot of a Queen influence here, and you know, a bit of a Zeppelin Aerosmith influence here. It's really, really, really good. You know, so you know, get a taste of Dirty Honey. They're fantastic. The last one I want to talk to you about this week is kind of funny how I came to learn about him. It's a guy, his name is Neil Francis O'Hara. He's from Chicago. He goes by Neil Francis for, you know, for you know, his, you know, records and his touring. And Neil's he's a badass. You know, he's a piano player. He's brought like fun back to piano music. You know, like the 70s and 80s had Elton John and Billy Joel, you know, and then in the 90s, you know, we had Bruce Hornsby, you know, really kicked in the late 80s and more into the 90s, and then Ben Folds 5, which was much more alternative. But this guy right here, you know, Neil Francis, okay, went right to the artist for this one, their website, and got the album here. And how I came to learn about Neil was back in June, I went to see Les Claypool's Fearless Flying Frog Brigade at the Capitol Theater in Port Chester here in New York. And, you know, so that Neil Francis was opening. I'll be honest with you, I was a little pissed because other dates on the tour had Remain in the Light playing, which is Adrian Belew, right, you know, of Talking Heads fame and King Crimson and of solo stuff, and Jerry Harrison from Talking Heads as well. And they were performing Remain in the Light and other, you know, other classics from the Heads and from their own catalogs. And for some reason, whatever the reason was, I guess they figured that they could make more money splitting them because of the size of the Capitol Theater, maybe, that they split them where Frog Brigade played on Friday night and Remain in the Light played on Sunday night. So the opener that was had for the Frog Brigade was Neil Francis, which at that point, for those shows that he was performing, it was a 4-piece. But for this album, which he recorded in his hometown of Chicago at Talia Hall, he fleshed it out into a 10-piece with background vocalists, horn section, and I'll tell you, they are killer live. I walked in, like I said, annoyed, pissed, like, who is this guy? You know, and it doesn't match Frog Brigade. It doesn't sound anything like them, and I love the Frog Brigade. This is 70s rock and roll with a twist of funk and New Orleans soul. It is so good. I can't say enough good things about it. And like I said, live, outstanding. You might notice it's a bit of an homage, you know, in title with Francis Comes Alive and the photo of Frampton Comes Alive. And maybe he's hoping for that same mojo to kick in. Like when Frampton put out his Comes Alive album, that was the big one that broke him through to an incredibly wide audience and, you know, was, you know, a phenomenal seller for years and years and years. So, you know, you have the front cover, and like I said, got the autographed edition courtesy of Neil Francis himself. Thank you, Neil. Totally dig your stuff. Back, the band in full that was on select dates on this tour. It wasn't on every date. Like I said, when I saw them, it was just a 4-piece, and still, they kicked ass. They were great. Got some photos, some liner notes in there on the gatefold of Neil and the band and production and all that stuff. It's pretty neat. And then for the albums themselves, you know, pretty basic black sleeves. But Royal Grape vinyl. How cool is that? All right, it's pretty vinyl. It's very nice. So, you know, it's a double album set. Both are the same color. I'm not going to waste anybody's time showing you the second one because, you know, if you've seen one, you've seen them both. So, you know, check these guys out. These guys are phenomenal. He's a good songwriter, great piano player, great band leader, and they really do a phenomenal job live. The band itself, Mike Starr on bass, he's killer. This dude is solid. The whole band is solid. You know, I can't say enough good things on here. And this is already, you know, it's got a couple albums out, but this is the first live one, and it's so good. And this is another band I could see definitely touring with someone bigger like the Black Crowes, or like I said, maybe let's throw them in with Dirty Honey. You know, get them someone that matches them a little better in scope than Frog Brigade. No insult to less, because I love them. But this album has kicks off with Say Your Prayers, Changes Part 1 and 2, and She's a Winner wrapping up side 1. One of my favorite songs kicks off side 2. Alameda Apartments, Into Prometheus, another great song in this time. Then second album, Don't Want You to Know, Very Fine, parts 1 and 2. And absolute killer track for me, my favorite, my two favorites in a row. Can't Stop the Rain and Problems. Awesome songs. You got to check this guy out. And it wraps up with Sentimental Garbage, which he also put out an EP of, and BNYLV. So Neil Francis, this is a must. If you've never heard of him, do what you got to do. Support the artist. This is released on ATO Records, you know, small label. A lot of small label stuff this week. Very cool stuff. Like I said at the start, thanks for coming by. Thanks for checking out what I'm into. You know, it's always cool to share new stuff, especially stuff like this, you know, which is relatively unheard of, and this, which is heard of a little bit, you know, as well as everything else that I shared with you. But it's always good. Always good to have new music, you know. And like I said, they did some statistic that says that, you know, most people stop listening to new music at 30. BS. You know, something, there's tons of good stuff coming out there. You just got to know where to look. You know, now that there's no gatekeepers with record companies or stuff like that, where they would push artists and weed out some of the garbage that's out there, you got to do a lot more work on your own. And maybe that's why people aren't into new music like they used to be, but I still am. So, you know, check these guys out. You know, it's definitely worthwhile, definitely worth a listen. You know, drop a comment into the comment section. Click subscribe. That would be very nice. Click like. That'd be nice too. Great spending time with you. As usual, peace, one love, and music. And I'll catch you next week.